All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jimena Villaseñor. I am the International Business Affairs Coordinator here at the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce, and it is a pleasure to welcome you all to today's International Business Affairs Forum. We have a great speaker today, and I'm excited to hear more about regional programs to help our business community thrive. I see more people logging in. Give them a few more minutes. All right, so to start us off, I'd like to introduce today's moderator, Ernesto Bravo, President of the West Division at Sigma and Chair of the Chamber's International Business Affairs Forum. Ernesto, I'll turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Jimena, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I want to give special thanks to our guest speakers who are here today to share their insights on programs like the foreign trade zones on the US side and the IMMEX program on the Mexican side that aim to enhance our region's global competitiveness. But before we delve into the discussion, I'd like to set the stage. As the largest nonprofit advocate for the San Diego business community, the Chamber's mission is to make this region the best place to live and work. The pandemic exposed vulnerabilities in global supply chains, particularly those that are heavily reliant on distant offshore manufacturing centers. In a post-pandemic world, companies are aiming to diversify their supply chain strategies to become more resilient, sustainable, and collaborative with customers, suppliers, and other stakeholders. Fostering opportunities and supporting government initiatives to keep companies' manufacturing or distribution operations in our region is crucial to a thriving binational economy. Foreign trade zone programs, also known as free trade zones or special economic zones, are designated areas within a country's borders that are treated as separate customs territories for the purposes of trade and customs regulations. The city of San Diego has one of its own that provides benefits to regional companies, including duty deferral, duty elimination on exports, and streamlined customs procedures. On the other side of the border, the Mexican government's IMMEX program, abbreviated for the Maquiladora and Export Manufacturing Industry, provides benefits to companies engaged in manufacturing and export activities. These benefits include duty reduction or elimination, tax incentives, and simplified customs procedures for imports and exports. Programs like these play a crucial role in attracting foreign direct investment by offering favorable conditions for international companies in our region. I'm excited to hear more about these opportunities and insight on engaging with government agencies that endorse these programs to promote economic growth, attract foreign investment, and facilitate international trade. So without further ado, let's dive into our first segment, a series of insightful presentations. Following the presentations, we will transition seamlessly into a dynamic panel discussion that aims to uncover hidden opportunities, address challenges, and offer a glimpse into the regional programs we will discuss today. We encourage attendees to please type your questions in the chat or Q&A box. We will get to Q&A after we hear from our guest speakers. First up, we have Karina Danek, Business Development Coordinator at the City of San Diego's Economic Development Department. In her role, Karina currently oversees the Innovation, Manufacturing, and Trade Unit. Her team provides permitting and technical support to base sector companies, including those involved in life sciences, clean tech, manufacturing, warehousing and distribution, and defense. She also administers a foreign trade zone program for Zone 153. She's been with the City of San Diego for 15 years and has had various planning and project management roles in the former Redevelopment Department, Stormwater Department, and Public Utilities Department. She has an MA in Urban Planning from the University of California, Los Angeles. And Karina, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I just want to make sure that the PowerPoint is showing. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really excited to talk about the foreign trade zone. I think there's going to be a lot of information that I'm going to share, but it's really just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of information about the program, so I'll just provide just a high-level overview about the program. The big takeaway is that this is another tool that can be used, and as part of your toolbox in conjunction with other programs or by itself. Next slide. So what is a foreign trade zone? I'm going to be using the acronym FTZ moving forward just because it's shorter. But essentially, an FTZ site is a secured area located within the United States that is considered outside customs territory. So it can be an actual physical facility or a company's facility or an area in a port or airport. So for example, the Port of San Diego has an FTZ site. Goods can be brought into the FTZ duty-free, and duties are not paid or determined until after the goods leave the FTZ site. So it allows manipulation of customs entries. It's really important. The really key thing here is that it's for imported goods. So the company has to be involved in some kind, or they have to be importing some goods in order for them to really benefit from the program. And like I mentioned, it's just another tool that can be used either by itself or in conjunction with other existing programs. Next slide, please. So it is a government program, and there are 3 agencies that are involved. The first is the Foreign Trade Zones Board, and they are the federal agency that creates the guidelines for the program and also approves the FTZ sites. And then you have U.S. Customs and Borders Protection, and they are the enforcement arm, and they ensure that the regulations are being followed. And then the City of San Diego, which I'm part of, we administer the program on behalf of the federal government. So we kind of are the point of contact for companies that are interested in participating in the program or that want to enroll in the program. And we administer the Foreign Trade Zone 153. Next slide. And even though we're the City of San Diego, the program covers the entire region of San Diego. So it's all of San Diego County and then a portion of Southern Riverside, so all the way up to Murrieta. We currently have 14 operators enrolled in the program, and I think there's definitely opportunity for more operators to participate. I think it's underused compared to other FTZ zones like Port of LA or Long Beach or like Boston or El Paso. But so we definitely want to enroll more businesses into the program. The businesses that are currently enrolled are very different. So some of them are large companies, some are small companies, importers, exporters, distributors, manufacturers, product assemblers, and the type of merchandise that they work with are also very diverse. We're looking at ships, sports equipment, plywood, electronics, medical devices, pharmaceuticals, and wind turbines. Those are just examples. Next slide, please. So these are 3 companies that are currently enrolled. We have Callaway Golf, which develops and manufactures golfing equipment, and they're located in Carlsbad. Then we have International Inbound Logistics located in Otay Mesa, and they are 3PL. And then we have NASCO, which is a large shipbuilding company primarily located in National City. So what are some of the benefits? These were kind of just already mentioned, but for storage and distribution companies, they can benefit from we skip one. Can you go back? There you go. They can benefit from duty deferral. So as mentioned, that duties are not paid when the merchandise enters the zone or the site. Duties are determined and are paid once the products leave the FTZ site. So that can provide a lot of cash flow benefits, especially for high value items like lithium batteries, for example. Some of the duties can also be potentially eliminated. So there's no duties on merchandise that is being tested, where quality control is being completed, if it's being inspected, if it's being exhibited. As long as the merchandise doesn't leave the FTZ site, duties are not paid. And then, of course, no duties on all exports. There's also benefits related to the merchandise processing fee. So a company has the option to file 1 entry per week. So if they have 100 entries, they can just do an estimate they can estimate those entries at the beginning of the week and say, hey, we think we're going to have 100 entries. And instead of paying the merchandise processing fee for all 100 entries, they only pay it once, and it's only one fee. So that reduces the cost, obviously, and also the amount of paperwork. And also, they wouldn't have to pay as much in fees for customs brokers. And then also there's benefits related to U.S. quotas. So the merchandise any merchandise that is subject to a quota may be placed in an FTZ until the quota opens up. For companies involved in production and manufacturing, there's also, there could be some potential savings related to duties. And so the company is able to choose the lowest duty associated with either the component or the finished product. So on the example, there's an example below. If there's an item that requires 3 components and the duty rates for those 3 components range between 8 to 10%, but then you have the finished product, which has a lower duty rate of 5%, the company can choose to pay the 5%. So there could be some potential savings with that. Next slide. How do you know if a company is a good candidate? So the bottom line is that the company has to have, they have to complete a cost-benefit analysis. There is a cost to enroll in the program, which I'll cover in a bit. But essentially, the benefit of the program, both cost savings and logistical benefits, have to outweigh the cost. And then the company has to meet the CBP security and inventory control requirements. But if the company is already enrolled at doing all of those items that are being required by CBP, then really there is no additional things that the company would have to do. Next slide. So these are some things that a company should consider. These are sort of like all good candidates. Every company has very different operations. So these are just like a list of things that types of operations that I think would benefit from the program. If the company stores imported goods, or they have to show them to prospective buyers, if the merchandise must be processed, cleaned, tested, relabeled, repackaged, or otherwise manipulated before it's released into U.S. Or is exported. Goods will be sold abroad and carry a high excise tax burden. Some of the goods are damaged or destroyed, or raw materials that are imported are destroyed in the finished process. The final product is taxed at a lower rate than the imported materials used in production. And then if maybe a company is like, you know what, I'm really small, I'm just getting started. This seems like a very complicated program. Is there any way I can benefit? Yes, there are 3PLs and some companies that are already enrolled in the FTZ program and provide a variety of products and services. And if they're enrolled in the FTZ program, that you may be able to benefit from the program. The Port of San Diego has lots of space as well, so that's a good option for merchandise that is large. Next slide, please. There is a process involved, and it really depends on what kind of operation is involved. So if it's warehousing, then it should be about 3 to 4 months total. If there's any manufacturing involved, there's an additional step, so that's going to be a longer process. And it also depends on Customs and Border Protection staffing levels. Right now, they're kind of low, so things are taking a little bit longer. From the city side, we try to, move things along as much as possible. But you're looking at anywhere between 3 to 11 months. As I mentioned, there is a fee associated with the program, and there are one-time application and agreement fees, depending on whether you're looking to enroll one site or multiple sites. If there's manufacturing involved, it's going to be a little more because there's additional steps involved. The most important thing to look at is the annual fee that is involved. If the company has one site, the fee is $7,200 a year. If they have multiple sites, it's $10,000 a year. So again, it's really important to do the assessment and do a cost-benefit analysis to ensure that your the benefits outweigh the cost. One more slide. For those companies that are not sure about whether this is a good fit for them, we're offering a 1-hour consultation with Miller & Company. This company is they are experts in the field and know FTZ very well. So they'd be able to assess the operations, do a high level cost benefit analysis, and help you determine whether the FTZ program is a good fit for you. And that ends my presentation. Here's my contact information. If you're not sure, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out.
Great, Karina. Thank you for this great presentation. I think you provided really great insights and a really good overview of who can benefit and how a company could benefit from the program. So thank you very much. As we move forward with the agenda for today, I am delighted to introduce our next presenter, Lisette Gonzalez, representing the Maquiladora and Export Industry Association in Baja California's Coastal Zone as the Director of the Foreign Trade and Logistics Committee. She also serves as the Director of Customs and Trade Compliance at Schneider Electric for the Americas region, where she is responsible for promoting and implementing Schneider Electric's trade compliance policy in the United States, Canada, Mexico, Central America, and South America, and ensure compliance with global, regional, and local regulations. Throughout her career, in import and export compliance, import and export controls, and other related matters, she has implemented authorized economic operator programs in the US, Mexico, Colombia, and Brazil, as well as bonded warehouses and free trade zones. Without further ado, I invite Lisette to take the stage and continue our journey of exploration and learning. Go ahead, Lisette. Thank you. You're on mute, Lisette.
Can you hear me? Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. Well, thank you very much for the invitation. I mean, it's a pleasure to be here with you all and share what are the different benefits that we have as a maquiladora industry in Mexico. So you can go to the first slide, please. Today, we are going to be talking about what is a maquiladora or IMMEX company and what are the different trade facilitation programs that we have in Mexico that will help investors to look at Mexico or Baja California as a main location to invest. We know that Mexico is very attractive for investors, not only because of the maquila environment that we have in the different that is available in the different regions, but also because of the different programs that customs and the government have implemented in order to provide the facilitation for customs and international operations. Can you move to the next one, please? I have here the first two slides is just to share why is important manufacturing in Mexico. We can see what is the investments that we have, for example, in the first quarter of the year, or what is the investment that will be happening in the next 3 years. We see that is more than $30,000 million that will be invested from different countries in Mexico. And we can see also that in Baja California, even though we have more than 6,000 maquiladoras in Mexico, more than 1,000 maquiladoras are already based in the Baja California region. So we are of the most important economic region in Mexico that has investment from different countries. The next one, please. I'm sharing also here why it's important. I mean, it's only about what is the investment, direct investment from the different series that we have. We see that Baja California continues being one of the most important. We are in the 7th place, and we talk about Mexico. And there are other opportunities that are right now Mexico is facing, as with all the nearshoring effect. I mean, we are seeing that different companies are moving from China or other countries in Asia, even for United States, South America, or Europe that are relocating to Mexico to take the opportunity of the different treaties that Mexico has in order to have these different facilitation processes and look for most effective procedures in place. The next one. So as I mentioned, I will be talking about what are the different facilitation programs that we have in Mexico. I will focus today, and we are going to be remaining this slide for the rest of the presentation. We are going to be talking about three different criteria. I'm going to be talking about the IMMEX program. What is the IMMEX program? I think this is very important for us to know because it's like, what are the opportunities that we have as a company is to look in the IMMEX or Maquiladora program. We have two options to be a Maquiladora program. We can be an industrial program, which means that we process and manufacturing products, or the service Maquiladora, which is, this means that there are other different activities that we can be doing as a Maquiladora. Could be like warehousing, cleaning, technology services, outsource services. But when we are talking about IMMEX, we need to make sure that we assess the different requirements, because become a maquiladora, it doesn't mean only to comply with customs regulation. It means that we need to comply with different regulations as labor, safety and health, and others, tax, which are very important. So that's why we need to make sure that we are assessing correctly what is the type of program that we want to implement for our company. There are other different programs that the government have implemented as a benefits for Mexico companies. And I want to say that this is an opportunity for us as a maquiladora to make sure that when we are setting up a maquiladora in Mexico, we are taking advantage of the different benefits that we have available. It's not only about being a maquiladora, it's also have the different duty and tax reduction programs, because we can talk about tax reduction programs. We have the VIT certification. What I have to say about the VIT certification is that in 2015, maquiladoras start paying VIT on their temporary imports. Prior to that, we were exempt. So right now it's important, in order to continue being exempt of the payment of VIT, of 16% VIT on all our imports made on temporary basis, we need to have a VIT certification. The VIT certification is a program that will allow us to avoid this payment, but creates more obligation and responsibilities for the company. We need to make sure that we have the proper controls in place to monitor what we are importing and we are receiving a credit, and when we are exporting or returning to US or other countries our finished goods. So the important thing here is that there are different criteria for the authorities to provide a VIT certification. We have the first one is A, AA, AAA. These different categories are based on the different benefits that the company will receive. There are not only benefit about credit the VIT, but there are other facilitation for customs and tax purposes that we can have using the VIT certification. So we need to make sure that when we decide which is the category that we are deciding to implement, that we have all the proper controls in place, because being VIT certified, it means that we comply with tax obligations, customs obligations. There are certain obligations about labor and other topics. So it's about the compliance of the whole organization, not only of the customs department or the international trade department. We have other benefits when we are talking about duty reduction programs. We all know free trade agreements. Mexico is one of the countries that have the most free trade agreements, 15 free trade agreements, and we have more other like around 30 different bilateral agreements with other countries. So which are very important because it was not only reduce the duties that we will be paying at the time of importation of our raw materials and components that we will use for the manufacturing of a product in Mexico. But being part of this free trade agreement is important because at the end, the product that we are manufacturing, we are going to be selling into the international market, or we are going to be selling into US, could be an example as the closest country to us. But if our product doesn't comply with the different rules of origin for the free trade agreements, it could happen that our product does not qualify like made in or assembly in Mexico. This is very important, and I wanted to mention, even though we are talking about duty reduction programs in Mexico, because when right now we are seeing a lot of nearshoring opportunities, we need to make sure that if we are moving, for example, raw materials and components suppliers to Mexico, or we are moving production lines to Mexico, probably those components are still China origin, and we are going to be incorporating those into our manufacturing of a finished good. Then that component could pay, because of China origin, could pay duties when it's imported into US. So we need to make sure that we use really correctly the free trade agreements. There are also other opportunities that we have in Mexico when we are talking about duty reductions. One of them is the PROSEC or sectoral program. These sectoral programs are designed to support or provide the benefits to different type of industries. We have for electric companies, automotive companies, the medical companies. So each of the companies have a different sector. And our products and our raw materials and components are part of the sector for what the operation that we are manufacturing in our site, which is very important because based on this sector is where the Ministry of Economy will define what are the duty rates that we are going to be paying when importing these raw material and components. Right now, the average duty rate is between 0 and 5%. Mainly, I will say that a lot of the tariff codes for components are duty free, even though we have main materials that we are paying duties. The issue or the concern with using PROSEC here is only to be used for manufacturing. It means that if I have a distribution center or I have a fulfillment center, I cannot use the benefit of tariff reduction using PROSEC. It's only for manufacturing. And the other program that we can use is Rule 8. Rule 8 is to be used by companies that already have a PROSEC approved. And even though they have the PROSEC approved, they have also probably free trade agreements that the companies are using, but we still have some of the components from materials that we are importing for our manufacturing process that have a duty percentage. So we can, in this situation, we can request to the authorities, the Ministry of Economy again, a Rule 8 authorization. The Rule 8 authorization will give us the opportunity when there is no other, this is basically when there is no other offer in the market for the material and components that we want to import. So that is why we need to make sure that we evaluate and assess what are the duties and tax reduction programs that we have to use. And the last one is talking about supply chain security. there are two different programs that you need to look. AEO certification, it's all about the security in our supply chain. And it's also about not only about our manufacturing, it's about our vendors, it's about our customers, the distribution centers, the brokers or the transportation companies, forwarders that we work on. So we need to make sure that we have all the flow, logistic flow, our procedures. So we make sure that we put this in place. And the last one that I want to talk about today is about that origin review procedure. This could be put in place when we feel the confidence to have a supplier that we have been auditing, monitoring, and we are sure that they are shipping their product to us, to Mexico, with no issues, meaning in quantities and in information like tariff classification, value. So we have the opportunity to expedite our customs clearance because we review, we do the pre-analysis of the customs clearance at origin, where is this happening at the warehouse or at the location of our vendors. So for me, it's important for you all know that we have all these different programs that facilitate making business in Mexico, but we need to make sure that we have or we understand what is the business model that we have so we can decide what are the best programs that we have to use for our operations. And thank you.
Lisa, thank you so much for sharing this valuable information. It's clearly you and Karina possess a wealth of experience and expertise on these regional programs that promote economic growth, help to attract foreign investment, and facilitate international trade. As some of you may already know, the IMMEX industry in Mexico currently is at record levels of employment and investment, and of course the free trade zones on the San Diego side, as Karina explained, are also enjoying high level of interest and applications and usage on the U.S. side. So thank you very much. We're eager to hear more about your diverse viewpoints on today's topic, and we'll do so through a brief panel discussion, which is the remainder of our agenda. For this section of the forum, I'd like to integrate into the conversation another expert on today's topic. Today, we are honored to be joined by Stefan Okhuijsen. He is a partner at HCAP Partners, a San Diego, California-based private equity firm focused on middle market and lower middle market transactions. Previously, Stefan was a principal and investment committee member at CVF Capital Partners. CVF is a private equity and mezzanine financing fund focused on middle market transactions. Welcome, Stefan. We're looking forward to hearing about your experiences, strategies, and best practices as a representative of the business community to leverage free trade zones and or the IMMEX program. As a friendly reminder to everyone, we'd like to encourage you to actively participate. And so please type your questions in the chat or Q&A box, and we'll get the Q&A after we hear from this brief panel discussion. So we're going to start now. Stefan, first couple of questions are for you. Could you provide an overview of your company's involvement with foreign trade zones or the IMMEX program, and what motivated your organization to explore these opportunities in the first place?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me, Ernesto, and to everyone else in the panel. I'm very happy to be here, and hopefully I can share a little bit of my experience working as an investor in this particular programs. As you mentioned, we're a private equity investor. We invest in small and mid-sized businesses, which we define as companies that have anywhere between $10 and $150 million in revenue, mostly on the U.S. side. And as part of what we do is we try to help companies continue to grow and become more profitable as well. So given my personal background, I was born and raised in Mexico. I'm from Mexico City. I've done most of my career and investment career in the U.S., but given that background, we've really tried to use it to help our companies continue to expand and use these programs to become more profitable and also, more competitive. So I can talk very specifically about one case that Ernesto, you're very familiar with because you've helped us with. And this company is a company based in Reno, in Nevada, and they're in the manufacturing space. They manufacture chairs specifically for the gaming and hospitality industries, which are basically casinos, bars, restaurants. This company is very labor intensive. As you can imagine, they do a lot of sewing. And as opposed to what most people probably think or conceive, you don't have to be a very large company to take advantage of these programs. There are many different ways, including working with companies like Ernesto's company, which are shelter companies, who can really help you and guide you throughout the process. So what we've done in the past has been in areas where it's been challenging in the US to find labor, not only in terms of high quality labor, but also competitive rate labor. We've been able to establish an operation in Mexico to find that very high quality talent who can help us in the manufacturing process, but at the same time helping us reduce cost and become more efficient. And through these shelter companies, we were able to establish an operation quickly in a very efficient way, and making sure we're covered on the risk side and labor side. So it's been a great experience, and it's really helped us continue to grow our business and become more competitive. Part of the challenges we face are that being small and mid-sized companies, we have to compete for talent with the larger companies. So this company in particular was based in, or is based in Reno, Nevada, and there's large companies like Tesla and Patagonia establishing operations up there. So we're having to compete for talent with them. And so that was one of the main drivers for us to look at Mexico and establish a facility and really expand our manufacturing into Mexico.
Thank you, Stefan. Great insights. And your company has done an amazing job in starting up very quickly. So, and I'll speak a little bit to that because of the experience in the industry and speaking with many companies that are considering Mexico right now. Like you mentioned, one of the big drivers is the ability to find labor, which is difficult in many places, not just in the US, but all around the world. And so we're seeing companies come to Mexico and to North America in general as part of the nearshoring theme that we've talked about today. So we're continuing to see that, and we believe that we have many years, hopefully, of opportunity in that way. So, Karina, next question is for you. Tell us about the City of San Diego's efforts to encourage more businesses to participate in either the free trade zone or IMMEX, which also indirectly benefits San Diego.
Yeah, we rely heavily on our partners. So that includes the various chambers of commerce, the economic development corporations out there. Also, we try to communicate and share or meet regularly with some of the city sister cities, like either locally in San Diego County, and like I mentioned, the FTZ also covers a portion of Riverside, so also communicating with them and just increasing awareness of the program, and also providing resources. So like I said, we're offering like one-on-one consultations for free for companies that have questions, are not really sure. It can get really complex sometimes, and every business is very unique and their operations are very unique. And so it's always good to just, have a conversation one-on-one with an expert in the field. Yeah.
Thank you, Karina. Great examples. Appreciate that. Next question is for Lisette. How do the programs that we've been discussing today compare to incentives offered in other major border cities or metropolitan areas, not just in Mexico, but around the world?
When we talk about the facilitation programs, I mean, as you said, it's not only Mexico. The country that is working to have the best benefits for the companies that want to invest. So we are very comparable with other countries, although Mexico, because of the closeness with North America, it has the more benefits of investment right now. We can see in other countries that they have AEO or the CTPAT programs. Many of the countries can use free trade agreements, but it's worth to mention that Mexico is one of the countries that has the most free trade agreements around the world, so, which is very important for us. We know that landscaping of international trade is changing a lot, and this is an effort not only for the companies, but also for the government to make sure that we have the proper resources, the proper tools in order to simplify international trade. We've seen right now at the customs ports how they are improving their infrastructure, their technologies, and we need to work between company and government to make sure that we facilitate trade using these different tools that we have around the world. So we need to make sure that the growth of the different supply chains have all the resources so we can continue being in the market when we are talking about manufacturing. So, I mean, we are really ahead of different countries, but we have the most facilitation programs around the world.
Great to hear. Thank you, Lisette. This question is for Lisette and Karina. How have these programs, the FTZ and the IMMEX, contributed to job creations and economic growth in the San Diego-Tijuana region? And what are your projections going forward? Who'd like to go first?
I can start. So the FTZ program was originally developed almost, I think, 100 years ago to really incentivize companies to do their manufacturing on the U.S. side, right? And so with companies, looking into nearshoring and either moving all of their operations to either, could be either a portion of it on the U.S. side, a portion of it to Mexico. It's obviously creating more jobs locally and keeping those jobs locally. And by locally, not just, the San Diego region, but also in Baja. And, if Baja is doing well, the San Diego region also does well as well in that sense. So it creates more local opportunities, a higher tax base. It also increases infrastructure development in the region. So we're looking at improvements like in the Otay Mesa area, both on the U.S. side and also the ports of entry. So there's definitely been a lot of investment from the federal government, the state as well, to ensure that we have the infrastructure in place to handle and accommodate the tremendous growth that we're seeing, especially in the Otay Mesa region. Let's see what else. Yeah, and also the programs incentivize the smaller companies that maybe at one point were not really, they didn't think they were ready to get involved in exporting or trade. These programs provide additional benefits for them and so that they can grow and benefit from exporting and for doing trade.
Thank you, Karina. Lisette?
Yeah, I mean, we all know that Mexico's maquiladoras, are really an important generator of employment activity along the U.S.-Mexico border. There are different challenges that we have been facing. COVID, post-COVID, and now trying to still be in business, many of the companies. But even with this stress that we see in the international trade, the government has been making a lot of changes. We have seen this, for example, with USMCA. What are the changes to the labor regulation that we have in Mexico that basically looking at what are all the benefits that nearshoring will bring into our region, Baja or Mexico, it will help to the different companies and to comply with this regulation. And what I'm seeing also is that with all these companies that are arriving to the region, we need to work on simplifying the hiring process. I mean, we need to be more flexible for the employees, but we are seeing an increase because of nearshoring. So I think that the employment in the region will be benefit a lot. We will see changes in conditions like better salaries, benefits, working hours, but will be more competition also. I mean, we need to make sure as a company that we have the different employees that work for us have all the benefits, not only about salaries or compensation, but also other different conditions that employees are looking to work. So because there will be a lot of competition between the companies, that everyone is looking to have the best employees or collaborators to work and continue to be competitive and being in the market. So that's what we are seeing right now, employees looking for job security, but also companies looking to continue growing their operations here in the area.
Thank you, Lisa. Great examples, and yeah, very pertinent topic for sure in terms of employment. And I do want to recognize, I think it's important, the great collaboration and relationships that as an industry we have with, for example, CBP and the city of San Diego and all of the authorities that support are great supporters really of this industry and the great benefits that it brings to our region. Stefan, a question for you is next. For businesses considering engagement with free trade zones or the IMMEX program, what advice or insights would you offer based on your own experience?
Yeah, I mean, this is what any business person would do, engaging in any new project or considering an investment. But I would say make sure you do your due diligence very well. Make sure you figure out the numbers, make sure it makes sense. Talk to people who have done it before. Try to get advice from as many experts as you can. And depending on the size of the project, you might consider, hiring consultants that are experts. Working with a shelter company is very highly recommended. Doing business in Mexico is very different than doing business in the US. And if you're from Mexico and you want to do business in the US, vice versa. So, I would highly recommend doing your due diligence and talking to people who have done it before. The other thing is, again, making sure that you're a good candidate for the project and that you will benefit from it as much as you think you will. There are additional costs involved at the beginning, but in the long run, for most companies looking at manufacturing in Mexico or using free trade zones in the US, the benefits are usually very very big and great advantages to take care of. But you just have to make sure that they're right for you. So that's my biggest advice, probably.
Absolutely. Great advice, Stefan. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the Q&A. We've got a little over 10 minutes left, so we want to make sure we're on schedule. As a side note, just for everyone's information, we will have a recording of this presentation on our YouTube account, the San Diego Regional Chamber's YouTube account. And also the emails for anybody that wants the emails for the participants, they are being listed on the chat as well. All right, first question in the Q&A is for Karina from the Baja California Railroad. When you mention export through OTAI, could export by rail into the US help the development of both regions?
Yeah, I think I think that, yeah, definitely. I think that's one of those things that would require lots of involvement from the federal government. So it's more like, what is the process for that? And typically that does require lots of approvals, lots of discussions from the two countries. So at the federal level, obviously at local level as well for coordination. But I think, yeah, logistically that would make sense.
Thank you, Karina. Next question is for Stefan. What has been your assessment of the potential financial savings that your business has achieved by operating within the regional programs discussed today compared to traditional import or export methods, or if you had an operation in Mexico without the IMMEX program?
Yeah, well, I can talk very specifically about the case or the example I gave about this chair manufacturing company. They were importing a lot from China, and not only do you have to deal with tariffs and other things that are costly, but just the logistical burden is very big when working with China. And when you think of a company trying to operate efficiently, managing capital, working capital, just being to have a product shipped in your facility or to any of your clients within days as opposed to within weeks is a huge, huge advantage. So not only is the cost and the efficiency there, but it's also a matter of being quicker and making sure you turn your capital quicker. So I'm very confident that with the projects we've done in Mexico in particular, our companies will continue to grow faster and be more efficient and also more profitable. Hopefully that answers the question.
No, that's a great answer. Thank you, Stefan. Good perspective for sure. All right, we have another question for Karina. What are the plans for the city to leverage San Diego's sister and friendship city partnerships to address global challenges such as environmental stewardship and climate action?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I don't know what plans the mayor's office has specifically, but what I can tell you is that climate change and sustainability practices are very important at the local level. It is a priority for us. And, FTZ in general is, and like some of the programs that we've been discussing here are meant to really shorten the supply chain and bring more activity locally. So if you're keeping the activity at the local level, then in essence, you are reducing emissions. FTZ allows a lot of activity at the various FTZ sites as well. So again, you can do everything at that site and then reduce the amount of transportation that's needed. But yeah, I would have to check back with you on what the mayor's office has in plan for, how we're working with our sister and friendship cities.
Thank you, Karina. Good response. Yeah, I want to mention also, just from an industry perspective, for the IMMEX industry, certainly, I think the environmental compliance and environmental improvements and climate actions is very important. Most of the laws and regulations that we abide by are actually based on U.S. EPA rules, which is the Mexican counterparts to those. And so definitely an area that is top of mind for the entire industry as it relates to logistics as well as the actual operations themselves. So thank you, Leila, for that question. All right, last question is for Lisette. Can you share your perspective on what the current situation is for fulfillment companies in our region and your outlook moving forward? That is those Canadian or American companies that have their warehouses in Tijuana and take advantage of the incentives and facilities to bring merchandise from Asia and dispatch to their customers in the US, in some cases through what would be considered third-party fulfillment.
Yes, we can say that right now, third-party logistics are a market that is expected to continue growing. I mean, I think not only on the Baja region but also in San Diego area. Uh, we have seen a lot of increasing in e-commerce, and companies what are looking is to partners to have more to be more cost effective or have a more efficient logistic solutions. So that's what we are looking right now. But also at the same time, third-party logistics are becoming more competitive. This means that there are different companies offering the same services. So how they need to make sure that they provide the best service to the company that is looking to be more efficient in the process, in the logistic process. What I'm seeing right now is that moving forward, there are going to be different challenges that this industry will be facing. I will say that recruiting new talent, I mean, I think that will be a major constraint. I mean, because more companies, we need more talent. Then, so hire the right person to work in this type of operations. We have also issues on transportation capacity or port capacity that we have in the region. So this lack of capacity could lead us to shipping delays. So we need to take care of that also, that it's not only affecting 3PLs, but industry in general. Could be some effect or impact also in the increases in prices on transportation because of these increase in capacity or the delays that they can have. Um, and and we are seeing also the changing on the consumer demands. I mean, we have a boom right now on e-commerce, but how third parties will change in providing the best logistic services. I mean, they can package, they can store, they can ship, how they can be more effective, efficient, and so try to close in all the different gaps that they can have in the logistic or on the supply chain. And the last one that probably is very important, and many companies are looking at this, is reducing the carbon footprint. I mean, it's like we need to move that way, and companies are looking to partners that have their same commitments with carbon emissions, for example, or with commitments with the environment. So I think I'm seeing an increase on the 3PLs on the market, but there will be a lot of competitiveness in that area.
I did, if I may ask, want to add one thing that is going to be really important, because in California, at the state level, they are requiring for trucks to be electric by a certain date. And that is going to be very, very tricky as far as how those trucks adjust to that requirement, and making sure that we have the grid capacity, not just in the Otay Mesa area, but also how are the folks down in Baja going to be able to make sure they have access to that as well, and meet that requirement.
Yeah, I think that is very
So that's
important
a
because
whole
it's
other
not only,
panel, Karina, for sure. Yeah.
exactly. It's not only about the capacity of the transportation companies, it's about if they are ready to move to electrical. And there is different structure in both sides of the border.
Yeah, and that's something the chamber is definitely actively participating in that discussion with the authorities to hopefully move in a reasonable path towards that goal that we all share. We just want to make sure we get there in a reasonable and economically efficient manner. So thank you for bringing that up, Karina. All right, thank you, Lisette, Karina, Stefan, for all of your valuable insights and your time. That is all the time we have today. And special thanks to all three of you for participating in this forum. Hearing about these topics, thanks, Stefan, and how we can work to maximize San Diego's global identity and have the information and awareness to be effective advocates is really important. We hope that this forum has advanced that purpose today. One announcement, the Chamber will be heading back to Mexico City from October 8th to the 11th to meet with key federal officials and diverse business industry leaders to discuss our region's most important issues. For details, please click on the chat and the event's website, which Jimena just posted in the chat. And so thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jimena, as well, for coordinating and organizing this great forum, and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.
Thank you.